So here the roof timbers are beginning to go in. The front columns had gone in
This
by
is
that
Cameron's
time.
work, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk about that? Because that was
it was quite interesting doing this because you realise that it's narrow at the front and wide at the back, so you just can't stick up trusses like that. So we strutted the roof, and it was all strutted roof, except for this end which we trussed, and then this is marvellous because we suddenly found we had this roof space at this end because Jim had gone up too high, and so we could use it. And then we came to the hall, and I designed it so there were two beams across there because the span down here is 15.5 feet, which is quite a long span. And so I picked them up on two big beams. And one Thursday they lifted these beams up and stuck one in place. And it looked absolutely awful. And it was difficult to get into the bathroom as well, wasn't it? It was a bit, we'd have to notch it, which is horrendous for a beam. And I was holding my head in despair, and I said, well, to the guys, can you go away and come back on Monday, and I'll try and sort this out. So Friday came, Saturday and Sunday, and I just hadn't got an answer at all. And then suddenly sort of woke up at 5 o'clock on Monday morning, and this blooming angel, God knows what it was, came in and said, have you ever thought of V-beam? And I said, no, what's that, dear? And it said, it goes like this. And by 9 o'clock, I'd faked up a section, and basically it's two 6x2s there. There's an angle with a gusset there every metre, and then rafters come here. These made at a point. The rafters put their load onto the point, and these are all trussed. You've put struts across there, so the whole thing is absolutely rigid. And I reckon this V-ring could go on forever. It's so strong.
So here it is. You can see it in place there.
But the interesting part about it was that the council always want an engineer certificate about timber construction, anything that's structural like that. And so I trotted along to see this engineer, their recommendation in Elgin, and he looked at the plan and he said, oh, bloody hell. And he said, do you think it'll stand up? And I said, yes. So he said, that's all right, here you are.
Gave you the position. Yeah, so here we are coming...
topping out.
Yes, there's Marley again. So that,
yes,
right. Yes. So this is the topping out ceremony. Now every house, once it gets up to the highest point of the roof, which was here, you have a topping out ceremony, and you either stick an old broom or a piece of fir tree up onto it, and you also have a celebration with anybody you feel you want to ask, like the people who came to work. There's John Cameron
yes,
and his men, and then there's Grant's men,
Jim
Grant's men, and these are neighbours, Helen and Hanley.
They live two down from us.
And then John Cialis is there.
Yeah.
And so it was quite fun because the Jim Grant was actually, it was his business, but his father-in-law also had a say in the business, and he would ring us up sometimes when he wanted to check up on the men, which was quite embarrassing from our point of view. And he rang us up before this party, which was going to be 3 in the afternoon, and he said, my two men are not to have anything to drink because they've got to work till their full day, which is 5 o'clock.
No alcohol.
No alcohol. They can have a cup of tea, but that's it. But you tried telling two men that they're not allowed to help themselves to the beer or the whiskey, which was on hand. So one of them particularly was quite tipsy by the time, and we thought, well, he won't get any more work done. But he did. This isn't actually the thing, but he went up this ladder and up to the very top.
Yeah, look at him.
And he was. That isn't actually him. It's somebody else. But
it could have been
it's the
him.
same thing.
He was staggering around on the top there.
He was absolutely plastered. I mean, we were terribly worried about it, but he
survived.
survived.
He said, fine. He said, no problem. I do this
all the time. So then the copper roof.
Oh, the copper roof was interesting because we really, like I was saying, with slates, but we couldn't use slates because of cost. But on here, slates would have been ideal just to cut them, but of course we couldn't afford them, so decided to do it in copper. And copper compared to slate is quite cheap for material, but labour is quite expensive to put a copper roof on. It just happens that guy who's associated with the community, Brian, who was a bus driver and stayed at the community for a bit, actually did a bit of copper roofing for them. And he lived in Austria with this lady, and they happened to come over on holiday. And he came out, he said, "You've got any work?" So I said, "What about coffee?" He said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. We need £1,000. I said, "Well, go for it." And so he did. And this shows sunshine, but all the time he was up there, really, it was sleet and rain, and poor guy, 3 weeks doing it, but he did a nice job for us.
And so this is the tiles going on, and this is Harley. This was once we got the roof on, we could then sort of think about the inside, and this was one day which was quite some day, and John arrived as usual, and Harley was on Maggie Gonk, the cement mixer. John was the shifter of the wet cement ready for the laying of the concrete floor, and I was the pusher around of the concrete.
You were a tamper.
And tamping it down.
Yes.
And so we worked incredibly hard. It was one of the hardest days we did.
God.
But we got the whole of the ground floor done in the day, and we thought we were really, really pleased with ourselves.